All right, so where we are is on Hangzhou Bay, south of Shanghai, north of Ningbo, and it's the home of one of the most extraordinary ecological agricultural investments in China by the CP Group. The CP Group is a company, overseas Chinese from Guangdong, that because their village in Guangdong was destroyed in 1921, they went to Thailand and started a seed company. Two brothers started a seed company that is today the largest feed company in the world. It's an extraordinarily broad and diverse agribusiness, active in 30 different Chinese provinces. The Xie or Chia brothers, Chervenant in Thai, started this company, now in its third generation of leadership. And Mr. Xie Guomin, Mr. Danin Chervenant, chairman of the CP Group, is perhaps, I think without question, the leading figure in an agricultural revolution taking place in China without a land revolution. You'll remember that Chairman Mao had a land revolution that came close to destroying Chinese agriculture. This is an agricultural and scientific revolution that is making Chinese agriculture again, as it once had been, one of the most productive in the world. The CP Group's business model, and we can see this from the HBS case that we have, is one of controlling but not owning the production process from farm to fork, a vertically integrated process by which they oversee the agronomy, oversee the animal husbandry in a village, through its transportation down to urban areas, to its packaging and processing and packaging, down to its own supermarkets, the Lotus supermarket chain, among other outlets for CP Foods in China. And it has changed not just how farmers produce, but how well they are compensated for it. And it has changed what urban consumers eat. So this is our CP Group modern agricultural ecological garden on Hangzhou Bay. Some close-ups of some of its facilities. This is a farm, literally just land being reclaimed for farming. It's a farm at the moment without farmers. It will have farmers who will be employees of the CP Group. You can see here greenhouses. Of course, you can see these all over China, but you will see a high-tech and extraordinarily large greenhouses for the crops grown here. You can see a rendering of the chicken farm, and from the chicken farm that will lay annually 1 million eggs. You can see the processing area for agricultural products to the upper right. Then down in the middle, you can see the training center, kind of a university of agribusiness and a university of agricultural science run by the CP Group here in Hangzhou Bay. And then for those from the outside, those from Shanghai who would like to get into the countryside and to escape for a bit, there would be two ways to do it. One would be to come for a weekend and have some leisure time and tourism, and another would be to buy a house, to buy a fangzi, to invest in real estate here in Cixi. And if you want to buy and invest in real estate here in Cixi, you'll also get a piece of land, a small piece of land, a kind of a garden property of your own to grow the vegetables that you would like to grow, and presumably there's some advice that comes with that.
If I want you to look, you see those windmills down there?
I do.
That's the sea, those windmills. What are called fengche here in Chinese. And if I were to look on the opposite side of the camera, all the way back over there, as far as you can see, all this land along here, and on that map, all that whole curvature, right, on the south side of the bay, 1,000 years ago, that was all, we were all in the sea, underwater. And so what we're seeing now is actually a whole area that was absolutely barren, wasteland, salt soil. What's happened? And I'll leave that to you and the discussion of this.
Here, by Hangzhou Bay, the Zhengda modern agricultural ecological garden is taking 20 kilometers long of the Hangzhou Bay of reclaimed land, land that had been very degraded, become overly saline in recent times, really not very good for agriculture, reclaiming it again, cleaning it up, as it were, for an extraordinary series of experiments. And we'll go to the next large billboard here on the entryway to the CP facility and ecological garden, and we'll get a bit more information about every part of this. Now, here at the CP Group's modern agricultural ecological garden on Hangzhou Bay, we can see a detailed map of the garden plan. This now in the spring of 2013, this facility is just opening now. Not all of it is ready, but you can see the plans for it. It will have sustainably grown and sustainably harvested agricultural products, organic rice, and you can see number one there are the rice fields of 22,000 mu. To the kind of upper left-hand side of our map here. Down below is the chicken farm, and the waste from this chicken farm, from this organic chicken farm, will fertilize the rice fields to the north. And the plan is now for 1 million eggs to be laid by the chickens in the chicken farm and in the state-of-the-art layer chicken facility. And you can see the two large areas by number 2. A research and development enterprise experimenting with forms of food processing, concerned with food safety issues. Food safety, of course, is at the heart of the what you might call the agri-politics of contemporary China. The fourth, manufacturing, the manufacturing of the produce here from farm, as it were, directly to fork, including of processed foods and ready-to-eat foods for supermarkets and for your dinner table. Number 5, a vegetable farm. Number 6, a high-tech greenhouse and seed facility. And then last, farming isn't just for farmers anymore. There's a center for leisure activity and for tourism activity, and we'll go and see in a moment some of those sites, including a lake as large, actually larger than West Lake, not yet quite so far. In the CP farm, the enormous 20-kilometer long farm off Hangzhou Bay. And this is just one of the districts, the greenhouse district, we'll call it for obvious reasons, in which greenhouses stretch as far as the eye can see. This is just one part of what you might call this industrial agricultural park, part of a fundamentally profound change in the scope and scale of Chinese agriculture.
We're in the greenhouse for cucumbers, and I can tell you that these are really good cucumbers. Again, they're organically grown. They have biological controls for pests. And here they are, growing right along. A little cucumber like this takes only 10 to 15 days to grow into a big cucumber like that. Cucumbers. And these are really good cucumbers. But the production rate per I guess the mu, which is around 1/6 of an acre, is really quite extraordinary. And that was how much per acre? 一亩是生产多少
14000斤。
7,000
公斤吧。
7,000公斤 7,000 kilograms a year from 1/6 of an acre of these wonderful, wonderful cucumbers.
介绍一下，您 您叫什么？还有您的工作，还有这位先生。
我是先介绍这位啊。
好。
这位呢是我们正大磁吸项目苏赛公司的副总，唐光奎先生，主要负责这个生产和财务一些工作。
好的。
那么我呢是毕业于南京农业大学，原来呢是学的园艺专业，然后呢就是在这个公司当中呢是从事生产部和企划部的经理，
好 ，this is
像我们这边正大磁吸项目的一些简单情况啊，这个温室呢就是普通的这种832联动温室，这种温室呢就是造价呢就是比较便宜，但是呢它更适宜于在中国大面积的进行推广，
So here, we will introduce some basic knowledge about this greenhouse here, and then this greenhouse, excuse me, how do you call it? It's 832. 832. It's called 832 type kind of greenhouse. It's not that technically advanced, but it has an advantage of being it's cheap enough to be widely applied by local farmers here.
那么这种温室的这个造价呢就是平摊到这个每亩地的成本呢，就是或者说每个平方的成本可能会在100元左右。
So it's the cost of building up this kind of greenhouse is about 100 yuan per square 每平方公里吗？每平方米every square meters.
这样的话呢，就是我们最终呢就形成的这种产品，就是最后的这个产品单价呢会限制在2元左右，这样的更容易在中国大范围的进行推广。
产品单价你是说每公斤还是？美金，所以是每500克。Okay, so the products we have here, so it won't cost more than 2 yuan per 500 grams.
Yeah. 那么除此之外呢，我们通过了这种稍微简单一点的方式来降低成本，然后让更多的老百姓来享受我们的科技成果。
So in this way, we can reduce the price of the agricultural products here, and to allow more and more common people to enjoy the great advantage of technology.
那么在科技领域这一块呢，我们目前来说呢，就是第一步我们的做法就是说是用无土栽培简易的无土栽培形式来降低这个，就是来试验这个盐碱地的栽培。
So technically, the first step that we have been trying to do here is to test the productivity of the barren salty line here, and by applying a kind of technology called 无土栽培 that is kind of plantation without soil.
在这个品种这一块呢，那么就是我们选择了这个较为广泛的一个品种。那么这个品种呢是目前呢是就是世界上广受不是就是普遍大众的较为容易接受的这种品种清洗。那么在这个品种其他品种方面呢，我们也试着引进了世界上一些新进的这个品种来拓宽我们的这个视野和渠道。
您说的品种是这种，就是您种番茄而不种其他的东西，还是在所有的番茄当中你选更被大家接受的？
对。
番茄，比如说同样的番茄，在这里选最好的，产量最高。
对。
Okay, so in terms of their selections of the kind of plants or kind of vegetables or fruits that they grow here, take the tomatoes as example here. They selected the most widely accepted, and well, it's a kind of tomato that has been tested having the high productivity, and they select this kind and to grow them here. So that means there was a quite strict selection process.
除了品种之外呢，那么我们就是在环境保护这一块呢，也是做过很多的努力。那么所有的这些我们在种的这些东西，那么它的品质呢，均是能够达到这个 就是无害化嘛。我们在中国来说呢是绿色食品等级。
是食品无害化还
是
土地？
就是食品和土壤全部，对，
是
对，因为你施进去的药，它肯定是有残留的嘛，对不对？那么我要保证这个产品无害化，那土壤肯定是无害化的，对，它所以整体环境肯定是无害化的。
Okay, so an equally important aspect that the CP Group has been paying attention to is how to maintain the environmental or ecological balance. So that which means they will use organic how to say that they will use organic fertilizers, and they will make sure on one hand the agricultural products are organic, and that on the other hand the soil they have been keep using for growing those products can maintain its fertility and not polluted.
我们呢一般这种无害化的处理方式呢主要有几种啊。第一个呢就比如说物理隔离，对吧？那么跟外界之间的一个隔离。那么在农药的选用上呢是用就是进口的，或者说是就是生物制剂或者说是一些低毒低残留的，这是一个药的使用方面，物理隔离方面。还有一个呢是
我来先讲一下，OK， 这个太长了，我记不住。So this whole process is called non-damaging process, and then the first important step is to isolate the agriculture, the plant and the vegetables from the outside environment, and then they choose a kind of fertilizers that is organic, that won't leave any 无残留 chemical traces in the soil.
那么第三个呢，我们也在尝试使用一些新的比如说是新的繁殖方法，比如说使用天敌。就是寄生虫之类的啊，就是比如说温室白粉石里面要用一些利亚小蜂等等去繁殖它的这个东西，就是总体来说就是一个生物繁殖。
生物繁殖。
对。那么这个呢，就是在尝试过程当中，就是我们也在一点一点推广，因为生物繁殖这一块呢，就是说在中国而言呢，就是不是每一种虫子它都有对应的寄生对象，那么不是每一种虫子我们都能采用生物繁殖，所以呢，只能说是一个配套的方案。
生物繁殖，你指的是专门来养寄生虫，
对，
然后让他们来杀他们的天敌。
对，是这样子。对，当然这种呢，就是因为它天敌呢是有专有性。你比如说是就是我们用的叶蛾类的，那么这一块呢就并没有发现这个比较好的天敌能够在温室里面饲养。那我不可能说棚里面养鸟，对吧？这个是不太现实。但是就我们正在尝试这个方面的工作。
生物繁殖 ，How to say 繁殖？
生物繁殖。
繁殖。
对，生物繁殖。然后呢就是天敌繁殖。
我大概能明白你的意思。我在想，生物繁殖 is okay. The second important important process is that the company chooses to implement a kind of fully biologically based method to kill the insect that will hurt.
对，也是在，因为它那个呢不能替代其他的方式大面积推行，因为有些虫呢可以用生物繁殖，有些虫呢不能用生物繁殖，这样我就进行一个。This is referring to insecticides and control over pests.
Control over
pests. Right. So all the sorts of problems you have on plants, like aphids, bithids.
Insecticides. Okay. So the second process that the company is investing is to apply a biological control in terms of the insecticide and is it to prevent insect damages. And what they do is that they will choose certain kind of parasite to develop. Yeah, he will try to grow or cultivate certain kind of parasite and to let them kill the other insects that are their natural enemies, and in order to prevent the plant from the damage of the polluted chemical insecticides. So another very important process is that the company will give or will print certain trace mark on the package of each product, and then digitize the information of those products, and to make sure that each product is traceable. And so, for instance, after you buy a package of tomatoes, and you know where it is from, you know where it was originally produced, and which piece of the line it is from. So to make sure that the customers will understand how it was produced and where it was from, and to be more to be sure that the products are safe. Process that we mentioned are based on one principle, that is, the company wants all the people around China to enjoy good food, safe food with a cheaper price.
那么在这个慈
Since the Zhengda, the CP Group, established its Cixi project, the plan has been carried out, but only some part of it has been realized. But this also means that there are more work for us to do, and our goal is to really create a full, a complete kind of systematic agricultural production, and that has the features of the CP agricultural ideals and principles.
Hangzhou Bay, and this area here is for watermelons. And what we can see right here, a little watermelon, right there, planted in March. This is now May, and
From May, and 35 days from now, that watermelon is going to be a round watermelon around that big, weighing 10 pounds. Shujin? 10 pounds.
right.
35 days. That is awfully fast.
That is awfully fast.
And they're taking right now. They're beginning to take off the plastic covering that gave them this early start.
Right. Plastic covering.
盐碱地嘛，这本来是盐碱地嘛。
Right. This used to be again. This is salt land, salty land.
盐碱地主要就是要排盐嘛，排盐就靠着挖的排水沟。
Oh, I see. Okay.
挖着排水沟，每个14米挖一个大一点的沟，这条沟大一点，这条沟大一点。
I see. Okay.
完了中间挖一条小沟。就靠排下雨排水。
So what you've done is you've put in these ditches, actually not so much for irrigation as it's for irrigation, but also to take the salt out of the soil. And so as the water runs down through here, it's picking up the salt, it's irrigating the plants. The salt's going out, and every 10 meters or so, there's a really big ditch to pick up the water. Oh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So there can be multiple crops of watermelons. This is why watermelon is on every table of every Chinese banquet that you can have in China, because you can grow it now so fast if you have this industrialized means. And then in the fall, when it's too late for watermelon,
in November, they plant broccoli.
Yeah. So there are only 2 months of the year.
No, sorry, no, I was wrong. In September, they plant broccoli, and beginning in November, they start to harvest.
And so only in December, January, and February, really, only 3 months of the year is this not actually producing.
Well, I think actually they can continue
The bee farm just south of Hangzhou Bay, and I'm holding in my hand some wheat, and there's big wheat fields behind me. This is a place that grows 2 crops of wheat a year from about October through to May. This is shortly going to be harvested, and then it will be paddy rice. How did this get to be here in a place that wasn't growing anything just a short time ago? Let's go over and take a look at this description of this particular field. A year ago, this was swampland of a kind that you can see here on the edge of Hangzhou Bay, not farmable. Then it was restored, as it were, roads built in between, drained, the soil turned over to desalinate it. Then, upon the completion of its preparation, you see the beginning of planting, and here we have the wheat that didn't exist in a wheat field that didn't exist even a year ago.
区的那个正大杭州湾就是正大商田公司，在这里呢就是从事呢这个银碱地开发，我们通过呢短短的2年时间，这个实行了这个水稻稻木2季的水稻种植，对这个土壤改良、改盐、淋营吸碱这一块，我们取得了非常好的一个成效。这个今后呢，我们这个整体的一个发展趋势这一块，现目前的话，我们这个基地有25000亩这个种植面积，今年刚刚形成。在今后的话，我们这个在我们上级各级领导这个领导之下，今后的话，我们还要发展更多的像这样的若干个就是大的基地，要形成一个整体的形成一个大的一个集团公司，将形成一个几万亩的一个几百万亩、上千万亩的一个这样的一个基地的一种规模。所以说呢，我想呢，这个整体这个公司这一块，前景非常的好。谢谢王先生。是山东人。
And at the CP Group, the Zhengda Jituan's enormous farm south of Hangzhou Bay, and behind me is about 25 mu, about 4 acres of a rice paddy field being prepared for planting, soil being turned over, not by individual families, not by whole villages, but by 3 machines, of course piloted by people, but three machines in this mechanized agriculture that is the dominant theme of this enormous agricultural park. There are 2,000 such fields here at the CP Group agricultural farm south of Hangzhou Bay. 2,000 such fields in this enormous and soon-to-be productive experiment.
江苏过来的，可是你们说是在江苏以前也是种水稻，是不是？
这次种水稻。是的。
可是你们10年前是怎么种的？
我们10年前没有这么科学了。我们10年前都是用人工老牛，都是人工老牛做的。我们现在都是自在化嘛，没有这么科学了。
没有这么科学了。
是的。没有这个规模那么大。
没有的，我们家里规模是小的。
你们家里是有水稻田有多少？
我们家里以前水稻田嘛，只有20-30亩地嘛。
20-30亩地。你呢？
我也是。我现在还是。
现在还是。
现在还是，就现在经理不是了。经理不是了。经理这去年我们就是整理大了。
我们到这里干嘛？这个跟我们家演讲的也是差不多嘛。差不多的条件。差不多的条件，但是。现在全是自在化作业嘛，那是很好的。
对，你现在是现代化的农民。
现代化的。
那么你是哪一年搬到这里的？
我们刚过来。
刚过来，
对，你们还是住在江苏，对不对？
我们还住江苏的，
对，也是在江苏中水道，对，也是在这里来做。好，谢谢你们，
谢谢。Finally, at Hangzhou Bay, this enormous agricultural farm of the CP Group, Hangzhou Bay in back of us. The tide is out. It's all mud flats right now, but when it'll come in to a height of about 1.5 meters. And it will come in about 6 hours. Far out there, it looks pretty close. It's 3 kilometers away is the beginning of a seawall. The next set of dikes, as it were, in the process of reclaiming parts of Hangzhou Bay back for agriculture, or in this case, for the first time. In the case of agriculture, once again, where this is a highly modernized, highly mechanized operation, but what's happening here isn't altogether new in history, is it, Peter?
Well, no. I mean, to begin with, that dike that's emerging there in the distance, that dike is the 12th dike. We're standing, or the camera that's looking at us is standing on the 11th dike. And that means going all the way back behind the camera, there are a whole series of dikes going back to the number 1 dike. That number 1 dike was built probably in the Sung dynasty, perhaps even earlier. And so every time they extended this out, and the process is called poldering. And the way it works is you cut off, you basically make a seawall, you let water start to drain out, and you dredge earth in, which is one of the reasons why this land is all so salty, right? Because basically it's land from the sea. And that's how they've extended this territory out. Now, in recent times, this had still been all marsh and hadn't been developed yet. Eventually, and the methods of developing it were known, right? It would take several years to do it. And what this the CP Group did was figure out how to do it very quickly, within a year, to make it productive land. But it's not, we know that this was going on 800-900 years ago here along Zhejiang, in this northern part of Zhejiang, also along the Jiangsu coast. In fact, it's not unique to China. Much of Holland, for example, is lower than sea level. The land has been built out with dikes, and that's still going on today.
Right, and this place looks a little bit like Holland, as we're reclaiming the sea and we're surrounded by windmills.
Yeah, so let's take a look at that, because we have in Chinese, all right? Yeah, and those windmills are I think generating something like 1,500 watts an hour from that. But you use the word reclaiming from the sea. I think what's really doing is claiming from the sea.
Well, when one thinks about it, here we were told that we come back, we'll have 2 or 3 further dikes out. Maybe we come back in another 30 or 40 years, we'll be in Shanghai.
Well, okay.
All right.
Thank you.